Davis, who's a friend of Andrew Mitchell's, with me in the studio, Brian Paddick, a former Metropolitan Police Commander. David Davis, let me come to you first. I think you've spoken to Mr. Mitchell today. What's his frame of mind? What does he want to do now?
Well, he wants an inquiry. He wants to be vindicated, frankly. He admitted to swearing, but none of the rest of it, what he calls the toxic language. And frankly, we are now in a position where he was somebody, obviously, masqueraded as a civilian, deliberately to put him in a bad light. And in the midst of all this, we see, as you just pointed out, that the actual log, at least we think it is, the one that was in the newspapers, the actual log makes claims about the existence of a crowd, which is simply not there. And I've looked at the footage before and after what you've just shown, and there was no crowd at any point around when Mr. Mitchell left.
So the timing of the second CCTV bit that we showed, which shows almost no one outside Downing Street at all, that timing, you believe, is coterminous enough with what was going on inside the gates at the time?
In the minute or two either side, there were people walking by, one or
Sure.
two people, but normally in ones. Nobody seemed to stop except one person turned and looked. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether that was exactly at the time, but that was it. And turned and looked in a way any tourist might look up Downing Street. So you know, there simply is no crowd there. The idea of a crowd being outside the gate and being visibly shocked is simply nonsense. And you know, I'd like you to imagine, imagine if this was in a court of law, what a defence lawyer would do with a policeman in the witness box with his evidence with a plain, something which is plainly wrong in the middle of it.
Let me come on to the email from what we now understand as a policeman. But let me stick for a moment, Mr. Davis, with this CCTV. If you now go back and read the police log, as I have done, and I've got it right in front of me here, it's quite a long log. If you read that log and then watch that CCTV, does it not raise real questions about the veracity of the police log?
It does look implausible. It doesn't look like it fits the log at all, as you've already pointed out. The position when Andrew Mitchell is supposed to have verbally assaulted the police, if you believe the log, he was walking away from the policeman for the most of that period. He's looking at the gate. He's not turning to make any comments. He is simply walking away and then leaving the gate. So it just doesn't seem to add up.
Right. Now, all right, so there are, at least let's put it no higher than that there are doubts about the police log now in the light of the CCTV. Let us turn now to the witness, because it was this witness and his email which played such a crucial part in Mr. Mitchell losing his job. We understand that's really what got the Prime Minister's attention on this. We now understand this policeman, that this witness is a serving policeman and has told Channel 4 that he doesn't stand by the email that he wrote. What do you make of that? Well,
that's right, and he appears to be in the same group, the Diplomatic Protection Squad, as the people who are in number 10, in the Downing Street. So he may even work in the same place. We don't know that, but he might do. But certainly he's in a group which includes the same people.
Right.
So we don't know what the connection is. We don't know why he did it. We don't know who put him up to it, although there's an intimation that somebody did in Michael Crick's commentary last night, and we don't know where he got the information, because his email is very similar to parts of this log. It looks almost identical in parts. So you have to wonder where that came from too.
Well, if you take these bits of evidence together, as we've been discussing with you this morning, would it not be fair at least to raise the question that there is a potential conspiracy by certain police officers against a cabinet minister?
Well, I hate to use the word conspiracy. It has legal meanings, but
what word would you use?
It certainly looks like collusion of some sort. But this is what the inquiry needs to establish. Now we live in a state. You've heard me complain on your programme before about surveillance states. We live in a state where pretty much everybody's telephone records, text records, email records are available to the police. They should be able to work out who talked to who very quickly. They should be able to do that in a matter of days or most weeks. So there's no reason why they should take long to verify and establish what the actual goings-on were.
I don't want you to go away, Mr. Davis. I want to come back into our guest in the studio in a second, but before I do, I have one more question for you. You talk about an inquiry. Mr. Mitchell wants an inquiry. What kind of inquiry are we talking about to get to the bottom of this?
Well, I'm perfectly comfortable with the police inquiry as long as it's clearly independent, clearly is fair in its treatment, doesn't sort of treat the police as different from Mr. Mitchell.
So who would carry it out in the police?
Sorry?
Who would carry it out?
Well, I don't mind. I mean, you might have the Met carried out, so long as it's under separate control.
They'd
not
be
under,
investigating themselves?
Well, yes, under IPCC supervision is what's happening at the moment, or possibly another police force. That's what normally happens under these circumstances. But from my point of view, the key issues are it has to be swift. We've got to resolve this issue before Mr. Mitchell's career disappears into history, and we've also got to make sure it's fair. If it meets those two requirements, I'll support it.
David Davis, if you can stay with us, because I'd like your reaction to what we're about to hear. I turn to Brian Paddick, former senior officer in the Met. Let me just ask, I mean, what do you make of it all?
Well, certainly there seemed to be an element of doubt raised by the CCTV. And the one thing I would say, because there's no audio track,
No.
Mr. Mitchell has said that some of the things he said were under his breath, even the comment that he admitted to. And it could possibly be that even when he is walking away, that he could be saying these things. We don't know conclusively.
Hold on. He can't be saying them under his breath if the police log is accurate. The police log says that members of the public were visibly shocked.
No, that's a separate issue. The separate issue is about this issue about members of the public being shocked, who obviously on the other side of the gate.
He wouldn't be shocked if he couldn't hear him.
No, well, the thing is...
Well, that is the thing, Mr. Paddick.
The CCTV, if the CCTV is from the right time, does not show anybody outside the gates, or maybe one person walking back and forth. That seems to be inconsistent with what is in that police log. So the things that we can be certain about is there is a definite question over whether members of the public were present and shocked by what was said.
But we can also be sure if the fallback position is he was muttering the toxic phrases about plebs and you should know your place and all the rest of it. If he's muttering them under his breath, we know that even if there had been people there, they couldn't have heard them if that's the defence.
Well, we don't know how loudly he was saying those things.
Well, you just said he might have been muttering them. And my point to you is that if that's the fallback of the police log, that he was muttering them, the other part of the police log, that members of the public on the other side of the gate were visibly shocked, could not stand up.
What I'm saying
is that not right?
From the CCTV, we cannot conclude that he did not say the things that he is alleged to say because there is no soundtrack. We can't see his lips moving or not moving.
No.
We have to rely on other evidence as far as that is concerned. Where there is a question of doubt with the CCTV is whether members of the public were outside and were visibly shocked, because the CCTV appears to show nobody outside.
Right. We're going to lose David Davis, so I'm just going back to him for a final comment. And David Davis, the point is that if that CCTV is, as you say, coterminous with the events inside the gate, it means the police log is clearly wrong, and if it's wrong on that, it could be wrong about other things.
That's exactly right. I just asked you to think what would happen in a court of law if a defence lawyer was questioning the policeman on this log. Did you make this up? Why did you say people were shocked when they clearly there's nobody there? How long? You know, the log, the evidence would be torn to shreds. Brian knows that. He's been in that situation, not been in that situation, but he's seen that sort of thing happen elsewhere. And I'm afraid it does cause a great shadow to fall over this piece of evidence.
All right. David Davis, thank you for joining us. We've let you go. I know you have a busy day. Brian Paddick staying with us.